realized this before, but evidently my window faces the way that the sun rises, so we can see some pretty epic sunrise. I've never been up early enough to actually see it, but my alarm just went off and I saw sun reflecting through the window. I thought I'd take a look out the window, and there's the sun making an epic sunrise. So Cody, today is Thursday. It's another special video day, even though I'm going to be talking about music today. So today's video is about Def Leppard, as you can hear. This is the Euphoria album. It's actually an album that I burned off the computer years ago, and it's been in the truck for the longest time. So Def Leppard formed in 1970 in Sheffield, England, as part of the new wave of British heavy metal bands. Like most bands, they started out, they formed, they didn't gain notoriety till several years after they had formed. And their first album here, I'm using Mom's Kindle to get my facts here. The first album, High and Dry, came out in 1981, so that was 4 years after their formation. And then that contained the song Bringing on the Heartbreak. And then the next album was Pyromania, it had Photograph, and I believe that one had Pour Some Sugar on Me. Then Hysteria had Armageddon. Hysteria had Love Bites, Pour Some Sugar on Me, Armageddon, Animal, Rocket, Woman, all those great tracks. So anyway, they had a rise to fame in the early 80s and up into the late 90s, and they're still a big popular band. It's just they don't have the notoriety that they've had in years past. The current band consists of Rick Savage, Joe Elliott, Rick Allen, Phil Collen, and Vivian Campbell. Past members include Tony Kenning, Pete Willis, Steve Clark, and Frank Noon. Rick Savage plays the bass and is backing vocals. Joe Elliott is lead vocals. Rick Allen is drums and backing vocals. Phil Collen is guitar and backing vocals, and Vivian Campbell plays guitar and backing vocals as well. Something that it's interesting. I had known this for a while. Their drummer, Rick Allen, only has one arm. He plays his sets now with one arm. So during the last day of the year in December of 1984, drummer Rick Allen lost his left arm in a car crash on the A57 in the hills outside of the band's home city of Sheffield, when his Corvette, yes, he was driving a Corvette, swerved off the road on a sharp bend and went through a dry stone wall. So he lost his arm in the accident, and the band members were very encouraging and supportive of him, but they were unsure of if he'd be able to continue with the band with one arm. I'm pretty sure they thought that they would have to find a new drummer. But lo and behold, Rick made a complete recovery despite losing his left arm, and he actually innovated the rock and roll scene with what do you call it? Computer animated drums. So basically, he could play with one arm, and he has pedals that have like tracks, like drum tracks on them, and he pushes those pedals, and it makes the bass sound or the snare sound or the cymbals while he's also playing with one arm, which is completely awesome. I mean, what other band, big name band, do you know that can play, that has a drummer with one arm and still plays great like that? I mean, that's pretty epic for someone to come from a crash like that in a Corvette, losing his arm, and yet he still plays with the band to this day. So right now, they're taking the path of most rock bands of this age that came out of the 80s, most of the hair bands that came out of the 80s, and they're still touring. They're remastering their albums. They're actually re-recording a bunch of their songs. They just came out with a remastered Slang album, which Slang is one of my favorite songs of theirs. I'll play a little snippet of it at the end here. All I ever wanna get their latest album, Songs from the Sparkle Lounge, came out in 2008, so that was over 6 years ago. And they've had another single out called Undefeated that came out in 2011, which was 3 years ago. But other than that, that's the newest stuff that they have of theirs. So basically, every year near the end of the school year, I've always had this Def Leppard kick, and that's why I'm doing Def Leppard right now, because it's end of the school year, end of the semester. I remember from junior high, especially, the song Two Steps Behind was a big song for that year, because it's always talking about, it was one of the power ballads, and it's kind of like, hey, we're ending one chapter in our life, and we're going to the next chapter, but we've got summer in between to help us transition to that next step. So I've always liked Def Leppard. I've always liked them as like a transition / end of the school year, beginning of summer. Def Leppard's always my summer band to listen to rock out to, playing outside, shooting baskets, table tennis, whatever we're going outside. Mowing the yard. I always like listening to Def Leppard amongst other artists when mowing the yard. So Cody, in other news, since today's Music Thursday, I've got a couple new CDs. The first one I got a couple days ago, which was for Dad, and that's the recent Harmony album, which is really good. Most of the song, really kind of a country rock vibe to it. Really good. They're coming to the Muskegon County Fair in August, and I think me and Dad are going to try and go and see them down there in August. The second album I got was Rascal Flatts' latest album. As you know, we went and saw Rascal Flatts with the band Perry, and the one girl from The Voice, I can't remember her name now, which wasn't important to me. But we saw them last summer up in Cuyahoga Falls. So this album just came out 2 days ago. It's got a really different sound from other Rascal Flatts albums. Like, it's got some Rascal Flatts music, like the average Rascal Flatts music, but there's like a bunch of new sounding songs to it. It's more like popped up, rock and roll vibes to it. And I like it better than the last one, but I don't have the bonus tracks yet, because the only place that sold the deluxe version of this album was Target, and the only place we have to buy CDs here in town, as you know, is Walmart. So I have a friend who's supposed to be sending me the bonus tracks so that I can listen to them. So anyway, those are two new albums that I got, Parmalee and Rascal Flatts. So Cody, that's all I got for Music Thursday for Def Leppard. I'll lead you out with the back of the Pyromania vinyl record album. As you know, this is Dad's. Yes, we're dating ourselves here. Yeah. Peace.
See, look. See, I like Def Leppard. Don't you? I love ya.